And if Jesus ever said that he was exclusively the Son of God, then he would not have said, "Our Father who art in heaven." And what do you say about the charge that you call yourself the Son of God? And Jesus Christ looked at him and said, "You say that I'm the Son of God." The five Gospels is a 550-page book, 550 pages of four people who we don't know what their last names were. 82% of those 550 pages, 82%, they are not the words of Jesus Christ at all. Now that is the only time that Paul said he saw and talked to Christ, who also never saw Jesus, never ate with Jesus, never talked to Jesus, never sat with Jesus, never heard directly from Jesus. They rebuked him, they rejected him, and the people of Jerusalem stood up to jump on Paul and to kill him. John 9:17. They say unto the blind man again, "What sayest thou of him that he has opened thine eyes?" That blind man said, "He is a prophet." Indeed, how did Jesus himself describe himself? Listen carefully. Nevertheless, Jesus must walk today, and Jesus must walk tomorrow. And the day following, Jesus must walk. For it cannot be that a prophet perish out of Jerusalem. This is what Jesus said. And in Matthew 13:57, Mark 6:4, Luke 4:24, John 4:43, it says, "And they were offended in him. But Jesus said unto them, A prophet is not without honor, except in his own country and in his own house." So Jesus establishes for us, and those who witness him establishes for us, that he was what? A prophet. And Jesus said concerning his miracles, when he was asked, "How dost thou do such miracles?" He said, "I can of my own self do nothing, but whatsoever I'm commanded to do by the one that is on high, that is what I do." Jesus Christ called himself the Son of Man. 72 times he called himself the Son of Man. And when Jesus Christ referred to God as the Father, he did so just as God referred to Isaiah as his son, as Abraham as his son, as David as his son, in the figurative sense. Because the Son of God here meant figuratively one that God loves, not one that God gave birth to. And if Jesus ever said that he was exclusively the Son of God, then he would not have said, "Our Father who art in heaven." Now Jesus had his own challenges from the Bani Israel. Who were they called? They were called the Sadducees and the Pharisees. These were the learned people, the priests, who were using the religion to make money, who were gambling in the temple, who were forcing the people to pay them to do religious subscriptions. They were the corrupt people that he said, "You call God your father, but your father is none other than the devil himself." And Jesus went inside the temple, that man of love, that man of peace, that man from Nazareth. he went inside the temple and he grabbed a stick and he beat them across their backs and chased them out of the temple. Jesus went to war. And it was those adversaries who plotted, who schemed, who conspired to try to trick him, to say things so they could prosecute him. And they went to Pontius Pilate and they said to Pontius Pilate, "This man Jesus is a troublemaker." Just probably like some of you say, this guy Khalid, he's a troublemaker. This man Jesus, he's starting trouble. He's healing people. He's brainwashing people. He's turning people away from us. He's calling himself the Son of God, and that is a blasphemy. He's calling himself a king along with Herod. He's calling himself a king along with Caesar. He's saying that he's the king of the Jews. He says that he is the Son of God. Both of them are blasphemies. They went to Pontius Pilate and said, "You should arrest him." Just like somebody might drop a dime on me and say, "You should arrest him." That's always what happens to people who want to uncover the truth. Somebody want to drop a dime on them. And so Jesus Christ had his adversaries. And when Pontius Pilate, under the obligation of those wealthy, powerful Pharisees and Sadducees, just like George Bush and Tony Blair, under the influence of those powerful Pharisees and Sadducees, they feel the obligation to follow up on that phone call. And so they arrested Jesus. And they brought Jesus in front of Pontius Pilate on those charges. And what did Pontius Pilate do? He asked him directly, "What do you say about the charge that you call yourself King of the Jews?" Jesus Christ looked at him and said, "You say I'm the King of the Jews." And then Pontius Pilate said, "And what do you say about the charge that you call yourself the Son of God?" And Jesus Christ looked at him and said, "You say that I'm the Son of God." And Pontius Pilate understood his answer to be a refutation of the charge, a denial of the charge. And what did Pontius Pilate do? He said to those Sadducees and Pharisees, "I find no guilt in that man." And they said, "If you find him not guilty, thou art not a friend of Caesar." So Pontius Pilate said, "I wash my hands of this affair. You prosecute him according to your own law." So Pontius Pilate understood that Jesus denied the two charges. And therefore you and I should understand that Jesus Christ denied the two charges. Next, we want to examine the words of Jesus Christ himself. Just listen to this. The words of Jesus Christ himself. First of all, let us say this to you. The five Gospels is a 550-page book containing translations of the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. 550 pages of four people who we don't know what their last names were. Matthew who? Mark who? Luke who? And John who? Secondly, 82% of those 550 pages, 82%, they are not the words of Jesus Christ at all. Khalid didn't say that. Christian scholars of 364 denominations, they said that 82% of the 550 pages of the Gospels, they are not the words of Jesus Christ at all. And the way they have determined that and showed that to you and I is that in the New Testament, they have done something called the red letter Bible. How many of you have seen the red letter Bibles? Be honest. Those are the Bibles where whatever Jesus said himself is in red letters. How many of you have seen that Bible? Yes. And you will find for yourself that only 20% of what is in the New Testament is written in red. That's allegedly what Jesus Christ said. Biblical scholars and theologians alike have learned to distinguish the Jesus of history from the Christ of faith. It has been a painful lesson for both the church and scholarship. The distinction between the two figures is the difference between a historical person who lived in a particular time and place and a figure who has been assigned a mythical role in which he descends from heaven to rescue humankind and, of course, eventually returns back to heaven. We want to continue to review the words of Jesus Christ himself. Jesus Christ himself said, Jesus Christ said, and this is the life eternal, that they may know you, the only true God, and Jesus Christ, whom you have sent. John 17:3. That ye may with one mind and one mouth glorify God. And Jesus Christ said in John 20:17, to a woman, I ascend unto my Father and your Father, and to my God and your God. So by Jesus Christ's words, he's a prophet of Nazareth. He's a prophet of God. He's a man that eats and drinks. He's a man sent by God. He is the Son of Man. Man meaning human. He's the son of a woman, Mary, who was pure and untouched, chosen by God to have a son through phenomenal birth. Now we want to examine a totally different view of Jesus as taught and represented by St. Paul, the father of the modern church. In doing so, we will talk about the new covenant, the New Testament, and what has inevitably become a new religion built around a new Christ and a new Jesus. Now let's make reference to Paul himself. By his own admission, Paul said that I was on my way, traveling on the road to Damascus. That's what Paul said. Now when he was on that road, traveling to Damascus, what was he doing? Paul said, I was on a mission to capture or to kill or trap Christians. Because Paul, or at that time his name was Saul of Tarsus. Saul was a bounty hunter. And what was his hunt? What was his prey? It was Christians. Paul used to trap them, bind them, hold them, arrest them, and deliver them to the Romans to be jailed and killed for a price. Now, on one of those excursions, Paul said that he was on the road to Damascus, and he was riding on a horse along with some other people. And he said he heard a voice, but the other people didn't hear it. He said he saw a light, but the others didn't see it. And he fell off his horse, but the others didn't fall off their horse. And Paul said that in a vision he saw Jesus Christ, and Christ revealed to him, Paul, Paul, why do you persecute the church? Paul, I have selected you to be an apostle to the Gentiles. Now that is the only time that Paul said he saw and talked to Christ. But those that was with him, they didn't see Christ. They didn't see the light, and they didn't hear the voice, and they didn't fall off their horses. But at best, Paul saw something. We cannot deny that Paul saw something. But isn't it strange that after that one vision, Paul straight away understood that he was now the 12th apostle of Jesus Christ to replace Judas, a good replacement. Judas, of course, had already betrayed. Jesus Christ had already been lifted. Now there were only 11 disciples, genuine disciples, and Paul said he had been appointed to fill that gap. He now became the 12th apostle by his own appointment. And isn't it strange that of the 27 books of the New Testament, that 15 of those books are absolutely written by Paul himself? 15 books. And the church fathers are of the opinion that the first 5 books were also written by Paul or under the influence of Paul. Why is that? Because Paul wrote his books between 50 and 60 years after Jesus Christ left. The other books, the 4 Gospels and Acts, they were written between 90 and 110 years after. Therefore, whoever wrote Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, and Acts, they were influenced by Paul, who wrote first. Now, most Christians don't know that. Now, if you got the majority of the books written by Paul, who never saw Jesus physically, in one vision, and you got another 5 books of 4 gospel writers who also never saw Jesus, never ate with Jesus, never talked to Jesus, never sat with Jesus, never heard directly from Jesus, then you got at least 20 books of human beings who had no direct connection with Jesus Christ. And mind you, all of these books were written without the authorization, without the assistance, without the witnessing, without the documentation, without the collaboration of the other 12 apostles who were living. Where were they living? In Antioch or Jerusalem or Galilee? One would ask, why didn't those 11 write? And why were they passed up? And why were they not collaborated with? The other issue is, when Paul went to Jerusalem with Barnabas, that blind disciple of Jesus, Barnabas, who was blind, who used to follow Jesus, but he was blind. Paul went to Jerusalem to visit the disciples in Jerusalem. And Paul told them about his vision, and that he was appointed as an apostle, and that Jesus Christ was the Son of God. And what do you think was the reaction of the apostles? They rebuked him, they rejected him, and the people of Jerusalem stood up to jump on Paul and to kill him, and Barnabas helped him to escape from Jerusalem. Now, this is the Paul who has rewritten the life of Jesus Christ